Record. Okay, let's go for it. So let's start in standing. Find yourself somewhere to stand on your mat. And we're going to warm up, including some of those shoulder things that I mentioned a moment ago. Okay, so start with your feet hip distance apart, knees slightly soft, and hands just on the brim of your pelvis. Just so you can do a few pelvic tilts just to find that neutral pelvis. So think about your bucket of water. Roll it forwards and backwards. Then just come to where your pelvis rests level. Bring your hands onto your rib cage. And what I want you to do is just think about melting your rib cage down towards your waist. So we don't want the rib cage flaring forwards. We're just gently pushing it down and creating that connection between rib cage and waist. And that's something we'll come back to as we work through tonight's class. So we're going to put the elbows in at the waist, hands out in front, and with a gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades down into the back pockets, let's work into our dumb waiter. So float the arms out to the side with a breath out, and forwards with a breath in. And really think of that connection between your rib cage and your waist. So you're not arching the rib cage, flowing the ribs forwards, you're keeping that lovely connection down with the rib cage to the waist. And at the same time, you can just gently tighten your tummies, just to bring in a little bit of tummy tightening there. Keep it going. Lovely. Super, looking good. Okay, so as always, you can stick with this, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, let's add a heel raise from here. So we're going to float up onto tiptoes as the arms come out to the side, and then we're going to bring those arms forwards as the heels come down. Same again. So remember, gently tightening the tummy as the arms come away and releasing as we come forward. So imagine you've got 2 trays of drinks, and you just ever so gently taking them out from side to side. Lovely. We've got 3 more. Little squeeze of your shoulder blades down and together when you get to the back, and then release. Good. 2 more. Remember, the heel raise is optional, so if it feels too much, just keep working on those shoulders. Hold this next one. So you can either keep the heels lifted or you can lower down. From here, we're going to reach up towards the corners of the room like a capital Y. Now, as you lift those hands up, try not to let the shoulders follow. So really set those shoulders down into your back pockets, and then we're going to bend the elbows back down to the side again. Same again. So make sure your palms are facing forwards. Reach and stretch, but don't let the shoulders shrug, and down. Good. Now, if you wish, you can do that with the heels lifted or lowered. Depends on how hard you want to work. And for those of you that think about pelvic floor, squeeze through the pelvic floor as we reach the hands up, and then release as we lower down. Good. We've got 3 more. Stretch, think capital Y. Good. Nice long necks. Those calves should be really warm if you've got your heels off the ground. Super. And 1 more from here. Hold the hands above the head. Everybody look towards one shoulder. Either keep the heels lifted or lower down. Bit of a balance challenge if you are on tiptoes, back to the center, and look over to the opposite side. Now watch those shoulders haven't crept up towards your ears as your arms get tired. Good, and come back to the center. Okay, lower those heels down if they're lifted. Turn your palms to face one another now, but keep the hands up, and we're going to work into a little squat here. So imagine you're holding a really big beach ball over your head, and you're just bending down to perch on a stool and standing back up again. Now, if at any point the arms get tired, of course, shake them off and then join back in again. And when you join back in, check in on those shoulders. Make sure they're not up by your ears. We want nice long necks. The shoulder blades are melting down into the rib cage. Okay, think about those tailbones. Can you tuck your tailbone underneath down towards the floor? Can you keep your spine nice and long and your shoulders travel over your hips? So you're coming forwards but keeping your chest open. We've got 3 more because I can see those arms are starting to feel heavy. We've got 2 more. And we've got 1 more. Hold it here. Hands by the side. Keep the knees bent though and just hold. See if you can lift 1 heel off the floor. Lower down. and the opposite heel. So keep yourself low into that squat and alternate those heel lifts. Alternate, I made up a word there, alternate those heel lifts. Good. Now, if you feel like your arms have had enough of a rest, see if you can bring your hands up over to the top, shoulders back down, and keep working on those heel lifts. So if your arms and shoulders feel too tired, then just work in that little squat. We're going to hold it a little while longer. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Hands down, heels down, come back up to stand and shake all of that out. Okay, arms get a rest, but legs, we're going back into it. So lower down into that squat and begin to pulse into hundreds. So we want to tighten the tummy towards the spine, keep the neck nice and long. So you want to be looking just out in front of you, not upwards, not down. Keep the neckline nice and long. And for those of you that wish to, you can come up onto tiptoes. So I just realised you can't really see my mat there. So heels can be lifted or lowered. Okay, keep it going. We're here for 10. Looking good, everyone. 9. This is where you feel your pulse increase. 7, 6, 5, well done. 4, 3, I'll join in for the last few. 2 and 1. Splendid. Okay, come back up to stand and shake out what you need to. Now, hopefully that's got everything flowing again. So let's just use that increased circulation in our bodies just to get moving through the spine. Oh yeah, jumpers are coming off and all sorts. So starting nice and tall, and then we're going to take it into our roll down. So roll your chin towards your chest, and imagine your spine is like a string of beads, and you're just trying to curl those beads over the top of one another. Now, don't force your first one, just take it to where you feel comfortable. A little bit of a stretch in the back and the legs, hanging out at the bottom with a breath in and out, and then you can slowly stack yourself back up to stand and think about those strings of beads. Build them on top of one another. When you get to the top, just going to simply repeat that movement, but as you feel things ease off, you can maybe go a little bit deeper. And I want you to imagine you've got weights in your fingertips, and that's just drawing you over the front of your feet ever so slightly. So you've got a little bit more weight in the front of the feet rather than the back of your feet. So yeah, join back in when you're ready. Just keep them going. We're rolling down, pausing for a breath at the bottom, and then coming up to stand. Looking really nice. Feel good just to open up the spine. Really focus on that segmental movement. Every bone in your spine can move a little bit on its own. Looking good. Okay, let's go for a couple more. Super slow and steady. Enjoy the slow movement before we come down onto the mat. And then using your next one, we'll travel down onto the mat. So just roll yourself down and then continue to lower down onto the mat, bending your knees so your hands and feet come down onto the mat, and then just position yourself in box position. And if you need to, you can just readjust your cameras. I'll give you all a moment just to do that. So remember, with our box position, we have our hands just in front of our shoulders. And if you do have any wrist problems, you can fold your mat over and just cushion those wrists a little bit more. Same with the knees. You could kneel on a pillow, or you could kneel on a rolled up mat. Make sure your knees are hip distance apart and not completely together. So you've got a nice stable base of support from here. And we're going to work on those shoulders again. So the first thing we want to think about is the position of the head and shoulders. So we've not got our heads hanging down. We're going to imagine the helium balloon attached to the back of the neck that's floating our head away from the mat. But we keep looking down as if we've got a mirror between our hands. And then remember those shoulder sets, we're going to do them from here. So you're going to slide your shoulders down away from your ears as you push through your hands on the mat. So you're looking like this, okay? And then just a nod to the tailbone, just keeping it nice and long. So you've got a tray of drinks resting between your shoulder blades. Without spilling those drinks, you're going to float your arm out forwards and maybe upwards. Keep looking down at your mirror. That hand then comes back down towards the mat. And this time we float it out to the side. Now keep the palm facing down. Keep looking down. And then we slide it back in. Repeat that on the same side. The hand slides forwards and floats up. Now as that hand floats up, think about what we did in our warm-up. Don't let the shoulder creep up towards the ear. Melt the shoulder down and away from the shoulder blade, down to the front and then out to the side with the palm facing forwards. We're going to do that 3 times over on the same arm. So forwards and then sideways. And then we're going to swap over and try it on the opposite side. And if you need to, in between that, just give your hands a shake. So even though the focus with this is the movement of the arm, it's a really good opportunity to strengthen the neck against gravity. So if you do have any kind of issues with neck pain, particularly if you get it when you're kind of doing any office-based work, this is going to be really helpful to strengthen and increase the tolerance to that. So really focus on that helium balloon that's just attached to the back of your neck, lifting the back of your neck away from the floor. At the same time, you can gently tighten your tummy towards your spine. All of these controlled movements should feel like a good amount of work for your tummy. Okay, let me come and see how you're getting on with those. Keeping little bits of rest when you need to. Remember that hand, that palm is always going to face down towards the floor. So try not to twist your shoulder as you bring it out to the side. Just adjust the position so your palm can face down. Okay, we're doing a great job here, but let's give you some progressions if you need to. So if you want to work a little bit harder, as you bring one arm out in with you, you're going to take the opposite leg out behind you. Now the foot can either be touched down towards the floor or lifted up in the air. You're going to hold that position with the leg as you repeat that same movement pattern with the arm. So the leg just stays still, holding that nice long stretch or long lift, and the arm repeats forwards and sideways 3 times over. You don't have to add the leg if you feel like just working the arms is enough, but your 2 options with the leg are either to have the toe gently pressed to the floor or to have the leg lifted. And as you stretch that leg out behind you, you've now got a tray of drinks on the back of your pelvis, and you want to avoid spilling it from side to side, but also arching at the back. So no banana backs, we want long spines. Stretch your toes away from your head. Okay, keep it going. Rest when you need to. Super slow movements, very nice. Probably going to get you going for about 1 more round on each side. Good work. So just always remember opposite arm, opposite leg. That's it, perfect. Just watch those heads don't start to hang down as things get tired. Nice long necks, beautiful. Okay, I'm going to join you for 1 more round on one side. Gently pulling the tummy towards the spine, just to create that tension across the front of the pelvis. Lovely. Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super. Just stop where you are and sit your hips back towards your heels and just take the weight off your hands, giving your wrists a circle or a shake. Good work, everyone. So we're going to move on to some tummy work now. So it's probably a good idea to see what we're doing, and then you can set yourself up. But all we're going to practice is those overhead reaches that we did in standing. So we're going to do this in lying, but from this position, you're going to slowly reach one arm up towards the ceiling and back down, and then the other arm, and then I'll give you some variations. So I'll show you what that looks like lying down. Now you want a nice long spine. So for some of you, you might want to put a pillow underneath your tummy so you can lengthen the tailbone. You're going to look down towards the floor, maybe with a pillow supporting your head, and then your hands are going to come up and above you. But think about those shoulder blades, tucking them down into your back pockets, okay? So the shoulders aren't up by the ears. You've got a nice long neck. Keeping looking down, keeping your head on the mat. You're going to do that one arm lift and back down again. And then the opposite arm lift and back down. So you'll see that I'm not bringing my arms too high, but I am really working on that shoulder blade, translating, sliding down my rib cage as I lift my arm up. Trying to avoid too much twisting as well. Using the muscles in the back of the shoulder to lift and not twisting at the spine to get those arms off the floor. Looks easy, but it gets tiring quite quickly. So if you find it's becoming a challenge, just shake those arms out and join back in when you're ready. Now, you've all disappeared onto the floor, so I can't really see how you're getting on with this, but I'm sure you're doing fine. Oh, there we go, Liz, thanks for that. Yeah, lovely. So just think of those shoulder blades. The key thing with this is shoulder blades, shoulder blades. So really slide those shoulders down. Thanks, Jill. Good, one arm at a time. Okay, so just work with those single arms. Now, if you think I've got this, you can try double arm lifts. So same idea, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Both of the hands float off the mat, not too high. Shoulders down away from the ears. There you go, lovely, and back down again. Give it a try, and if it feels like it's too much, you can go back to those single arm lifts. You're really going to try and feel that in between the middle part of your shoulder blades, really getting those lovely postural muscles in the upper back working. Okay, keep it going. So you'll be doing either a single arm lift or a double arm lift. Now, for those that want more, you're going to add a head lift as well. Now with a head lift, keep looking down, but imagine that helium balloon is just floating you off the mat. So you're not looking up as you come up, keep looking down at your mat, head and shoulders and hands lift, and then we lower back down again. And you can actually do that with the single arm or the double arm. So you're really lifting the whole of the top half of your trunk. Now keep your tailbone long. Don't let your back hinge or arch. You're going to want a nice long spine, and this is going to really work those muscles that run alongside the spine. Okay, do your next one, whatever option you're going for, we're going to take it for a hold. So when you're ready, 10, 9, 8, 7, shoulders away from ears, keep looking down, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Lovely. Slowly lower yourself down from wherever you are and just give those shoulders a little shake. We're going to stay on the front because we're going to take this into a Cobra Stretch. So just rest there for a moment longer. Now we're just working all of those big extensor muscles along the back. So let's see if we can open the spine out now a little bit. So Cobra Stretch. You're going to take your feet slightly wider than your hips now. So just take your feet out to the sides of your mat. And then either baby cobra, so you've got your forearms on the mat, elbows beneath your shoulders, and you peel away from the mat looking upwards. Or for a full cobra, the hands come onto the mat and we extend into the elbows. Now make it feel really good. Any pinching or hinging in the back, just ease out of it slightly and come back in again. And as always, shoulders down away from the ears. A really clear theme this evening of this postural set around your shoulders. So can you make your neck as long as possible? And if you want to, you could even look upwards and you get a really big stretch through the front of the body. Okay, we're just going to do some deep breaths here. Come out of it if you need to. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly smooth your spine down onto the mat. And then from here, just push yourself back to your heels and stretch out into our shell stretch. That feels so nice, just to counteract that deep extension. We come into deep flexion of the spine. So just hanging here for a moment before we finish off with our tummy work. Okay, so we're going to come to lie on our backs now. And we're going to revisit those overhead movements with the shoulders, with a focus on that rib cage. So as I mentioned at the start, we want to connect the rib cage down to the waist, and it's that upper tummy muscles that do that. So when you're ready, you're going to come to lie on your back in your rest position. Make sure you've got a little bit of space at the top of the mat, because we're going to do some overhead reaches now. So gently press the back of the rib cage into the mat. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just going to slowly start to reach your hands up towards the ceiling and over to the top of the mat. Now you may find that you can't go all the way. For me, if I take my hands right to the top, my rib cage flares up. So I'm just going to take those hands to where I can without losing the control at my rib cage. I'm just going to flow those arms up and over to the top. And then back down again. Remember that big beach ball that we were squatting with earlier? We're holding it now, bringing it over. So you can gently draw your lower tummy to your spine, increase the tension as the ball goes over to the top, and then just release that tension as it comes back down again. I'll make that about 4 more. Let's really focus in on technique now. So no flaring of the rib cage. Tighten your spring coils. Make sure your feet and knees are hip distance apart, so you've really set that rest position. That's it, lovely. And you've got a little space in the small of your spine. Very good, lovely. Okay, 2 more. Beautiful. So really think about that, those spring coils that are tightening your rib cage down towards your waist. Keep that tension now as you take your beach ball over to the top of your mat, and we're going to hold the arms here now. This is where the arms are going to get tired. So keep that beach ball where it is, and we're going to take the legs into scissors. So we float one leg up into tabletop, knee over hip, lower down, and then we float the other leg up. So just working from the hip joint and keeping your knees bent at 90 degrees. Now that tray of drinks is resting on your waist now. So as you float your legs in and out of tabletop, try not to spill the drinks from side to side. Now if that beach ball starts to feel a little bit more like a medicine ball, bring your hands down, shake them out, and then join back in again. Simply floating your hands, your feet in and out of tabletop. Now for those that want more for the abs, we can bring that scissors up into level 3. So as one leg lifts, the other leg lowers. But as you switch the feet mid-air, make sure that your lower back does not lift away from the mat. So you've got that constant gentle pressure of the small of your back on the sponge between your back and the mat. Keep it going, okay? If that gets too much, go back down to your single leg scissors. Again, shake the arms out and join back in. I'm not expecting anybody to be able to keep their hands above their head for all of this. So take those rests as you need to. These arms should start to feel heavy, heavy, heavy. Bit higher over your head, Sue. Bring them over to the top of the mat. If you get there, you go. Lovely. That's it, Jill. Yeah. Very nice. Okay. Super. We're here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then just hug both knees towards you and give your shoulders a little shimmy from there. Good work, everyone. So we're still going to work on that concept of bringing the hands over to the top of the mat, okay? Set that position, find that tension, Bringing your one leg into tabletop, and this time we're going to add a stretch. So stretch your foot away from you and then fold back in again. Same side, lengthen away and fold back in. We're going to do 6 and then swap legs. If you want more of a challenge, you can bring your opposite leg into tabletop, hold that tabletop as one leg stretches. Okay, so you're either doing a single leg stretch with the opposite foot on the floor, or you've got your opposite leg resting in tabletop. Once you've done 6 stretches on one side, swap over, maybe with a shake in between. Honestly, you realise how heavy these arms get all of a sudden. Good. A breath out stretches your foot away, and in folds it back. Watch those shoulders haven't crept up towards your ears. Watch your rib cage hasn't flared up towards the ceiling, and watch that you haven't squashed the grape in the small of your back. 6 on each side and swap, resting as you need to. Remember those feet, the lower they go, the harder you're going to put load through your tummy and your lower back. So that is always an option as well, is to take the feet a little bit lower towards the floor. Same with the arms, lower them down towards the floor, but make sure your rib cage doesn't flare up. Keep it going. You've just got a few more left. I know these are hard, which is why I've stopped. Good. Okay. Last round. 5, 4, 3. Really squeeze that thigh at the end of that stretch. 2 and 1. Good stuff. Hug your knees towards your chest and gently rock from side to side. Good work. Hopefully you found those. Good challenge. Okay. Come to lie on your side and bring yourself up to sit. We are nearly done. Final tummy challenge. We're going to do some roll downs. So sitting with your knees bent, feet hip distance apart, nice and tall to begin with, and then you're going to slowly roll off your seat bones. Rolling back, tucking your tummy underneath, tailbone underneath. Take it to where you can, ribs to waist, and then your shoulders come forwards and you stack yourself up to sit nice and tall. I'll show you what that looks like side on. So you're starting up nice and tall, then you roll off your tailbone, rolling down, hands come with you, and then your shoulders come forwards and you stack back up to sit. I'm going to do one more like that, looking forwards, so you can see where you ideally want the position of your neck. So you've got a juicy peach resting between your chin and your chest. Don't squash it, but also don't let it fall. Keep that nice long neck, nuzzling your chin into your peach. Keep it going. When you get to the bottom of that roll down, these tummy muscles have already worked really hard, so they should know about that. And we've not got much more to do. So let's go for 6 more of these roll downs. I'll count you down. 6. Good. And 5. Well done, Helen. Lovely. If you don't feel like you need your hands, just bring them to the sides of your legs and just slowly lower down. Good. 4. Stretch your feet up towards the ceiling, Helen. Go for straight legs. Go for it. Yeah, good. So I just got Helen doing something slightly different. Everybody else carry on. 3. 2. Now we're going to hold this last one. If the hold feels like too much, just keep going with your repetitions. Holding here, if you don't need your hands, we're going to finish with hundreds. So pulse those arms. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep smiling. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super work. Slowly bring yourself up and hug those knees. Just catch your breath again. And when you feel ready to, just bring yourself back to sit and just roll through those shoulders. few rolls forwards and a few rolls backwards, because we have worked those arms quite hard this evening. So apologies if you feel that tomorrow, feeling that tension building up through the arms, but really nice way of loading up the tummy. And you all did much more than I did.